Jessalyn Bachler, Range Field Specialist with SDSU Extension, and today here with me is Jade Norton, a professor and soil extension specialist with the University of Wyoming. Jay gave a talk today on rangeland soil health and kind of the importance of it, and then talked about some case studies that looked at soil health on rangelands. Jay, you kind of opened up just with the importance of soil health on rangelands. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or why we should care about it, I guess?
Yeah, soil health really, as we're defining it, is the soil's ability to function. And by function for rangeland management, we're usually managing for productivity or forage production. So we want it to be able to supply nutrients and water for optimal forage production. And then optimal forage production gives back to the soil, right? So the ultimate source of organic material in the soil is photosynthesis from a thriving plant community, and then that feeds a healthy microbial population that allocates organic material from decomposing plant matter into these active, passive, and slow cycling pools that are all components of a healthy soil and really provide those functions that we need.
Yeah, so kind of it's the beginning of the whole ecosystem services cycle. A lot of times in our minds we just think of forage production without thinking about the soils that are feeding the forage and then feeding our livestock from there. So yeah, definitely the basis of that whole ecosystem cycle.
Right, usually along with optimal forage production, you're going to get really good water holding capacity, water infiltration that's going to reduce erosion, better water storage that might keep streams flowing longer. You're going to have a diverse plant community that supports biodiversity and wildlife habitat. So those, in rangelands, those things kind of all go together. In croplands, it might be a different story.
Yeah, exactly. So you named a few indicators that kind of quantify that healthy system. Can you name some that kind of indicate we're getting to an unhealthy, away from our reference state?
Yeah, well, the first one is going to be what people probably notice first is maybe a plant community that looks kind of worn. It might be a place where livestock frequent because it's maybe close to a water source or trafficking. Or there might not be a good explanation, but the plant community isn't performing the way a manager thinks it should be performing relative to some place that's producing more. So that's going to be the first indicator. And then what you want to do is get to the bottom of that. Why is that? Is it as simple as it's compacted? You can stick a knife in the ground a few places in the healthy area and the disturbed area or the affected area and feel whether it's compacted. That might be enough to convince you that you got to change livestock use patterns. But maybe there's more to it than that. And maybe you want to have the soil organic matter and those active components that I mentioned analyzed to see if those are in the right proportions. The active components are the components that we lose first. So if those are gone, we're usually a depressed state of total organic matter and indicating we've got to do something different with management.
Yeah, usually by the time we see it, it's kind of too late. All the other processes have fallen away to some extent. So I guess as a rancher, range manager, those simple little things that they can do out there that kind of indicate, okay, something's going on. What are some practices they can put into place just to kind of test and see if that soil health is where it should be?
Yeah, I would say livestock distribution and trying to avoid those sacrifice areas. I think that's a concept we should get rid of, and because those are hot spots of erosion and soil organic matter loss that can recover if we are able to leave more stubble, more cover. So the soil health principles are having the soil covered, minimizing disturbance, and maximizing living roots in the soil for as much of the year as possible. And those go for cropland, but they certainly go for good rangeland management.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. So, and those hot spots you talk about, they can kind of start small, just that small pasture around home, and before you know it, they get larger and larger and take up more and more of your operation. So it's good to catch it and put good management in place before they start growing.
Absolutely.
For sure. So you talked about a couple case studies. One was on reclaiming a well pad on a range site. How long kind of did it take that soil to recover after that reclamation process?
Well, we had enough funding to sample it 3 times during the first year, before disturbance, during stockpile, when the soil was stockpiled, and then a year after reclamation, or right after reclamation, and then 1 year later. And then we were able to go back 7 years after that. And amazingly, 2 of the 3 sites, the 2 more forgiving ones with a little bit higher precipitation, had recovered their organic matter. One had even more organic matter than pre-disturbance. And the third one had recovered, but it didn't quite have as much as pre-disturbance. And the plant community had also recovered. And I think there was a series of good above average rainfall years that contributed to that. But what we saw was recovery after 7 years.
Yeah, so with good management, there's hope, I guess, to get it back to what it was
Yeah,
at some
and
point.
like in many disturbances, or drastic disturbances especially, the immediate effect was weed infestation, so a lot of weeds. And if those are noxious weeds, then you want to do something. But if they're things like Russian thistle that are kind of disturbance response plants, they can actually act as kind of a nurse crop, yeah, to help the native plants get going. It looks like that's what happened in that case, because the first year we thought it was a failure. It was all Russian thistle. But 7 years later, there those plants are that they seeded at great expense. So.
Yeah, so I think the timing of reclamation is definitely a big thing with that. But 7 years, that's really awesome to hear that they saw some results from that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would think that's a long time. You want to see it, you want to see that thousands of dollars of seed produced right away. But yeah, you gotta, with dry, semi-arid rangeland.
For sure.
You gotta be patient.
I guess that goes to show too just how, little of 1 day of disturbance, can create this huge change, and then it's going to take up to 7 to 10 years to really get back to what we were.
That's right. And I guess, I don't know if I made the point in my talk, but I talked about the soil system, the A horizon, the B horizon, and the parent material. And when you take that apart, you lose those functions, and you have to basically wait for that A horizon with those weed roots and infiltrating moisture to recover before it makes a good seed bed for the other plants.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up, just talking about basically that we don't want to disturb the soil as much as we can. Takes our rangelands a long time to recover, but they can do that. They are resilient. So thank you, Jay, very much.
Thank you.